Welcome to Journey On. It's the Jim and not Karl show. It's Jim and Dan from Fargo. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a little while, but glad to be back with you.
Love having you back. And before we dive into the review and preview, if you don't mind talking about, you just had an awesome journey yourself. This last week, you were on a motorcycle journey.
I did. I spent 4 days with a good friend of mine from church. Went about 1,500 miles in 4 days and braved the cold weather around Lake Superior for a good share of that. So
yeah,
between 45 and 51 degrees, a little chilly, but it was great riding. And luckily there was no rain. So
that is really
I
nice.
missed what we had today or last night. So,
and an important thing to keep in mind, we talk about wind chill, but usually that's in terms of when we're standing out in the open and the wind is hitting us. But when you're on a motorcycle and it's 40 degrees, and you're going 40 miles an hour or 55 or 70.
Or 70.
Yeah. The wind continues to hit. And I've been in that situation where your fingers are cramped and completely frozen. And you talked earlier about wearing many layers. So welcome to the great northern plains in springtime.
June, who'd have thought?
Well, I'm glad you made it back safe. I love talking motorcycle anytime, and hope to have some folks in Bismarck. Maybe we'll get a ride together and head out east sometime. That'd be awesome as well. So
that would be great.
Yeah, and to start things off, our review this last week, Pastor Karl gave a message about Father's Day, and I was blessed. I got to see it live, and since you were on the road. I'm guessing that you didn't try to watch it live while you were riding motorcycle. And if you say you did, I'm going to chastise you.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
We were on the ride home during the service, so I wasn't able to catch that. So.
And you did get a chance to watch the YouTube version after, though, right?
I did. I just watched it this morning.
Excellent. So another shout out on both those fronts to our tech teams. The fact that it works is amazing to me, that we can broadcast the service live. We can record it and put it out there, and people can watch it anytime. We can refer back to it if we have questions or not sure what we heard at any certain point. What a blessing that we have that ability to get that.
Absolutely.
And a couple notes that I took down. I love lists of things, and one thing that I heard during the message was that we as fathers, as leaders, we're here to provide, protect, correct, and comfort, and those things really spoke to me. The idea that we provide, and for me that means I take what God's given to me and provide that to my family and to the community. So material things, the gifts that I have, the abilities. The adventures and journeys that he offers to us, so we provide, and then we protect during the difficult times, correct, and that's an important thing. And I like how Karl spoke about that we are responsible and we are required to correct. And if someone's going to jump off the cliff, we probably should do what we can to talk him out of it, and then push him out of the way if necessary,
right.
and then to provide that comfort. And a good example of that was eye-opening for me, that I heard this long ago and it stuck with me. One of my roles is to comfort my family. So if we're doing something, let's say I'm driving and someone mentions that I'm driving too fast or erratically, I am responsible to comfort the people that are with me in whatever role I have in those times. So if it's to slow down or whatever it is, to provide that comfort. So those are just a few examples. And we went through, if anybody needs to go back and review, it's Psalms 103, 68, 127, pulled a few items from that. Quick question I have for you, Dan. Was it the Bismarck or the Fargo service that you were able to watch?
I actually watched the Bismarck service because this is the first week that Fargo isn't streaming anymore. So.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
They didn't stream it. There was no.
So it's going to stream from Bismarck.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention, there was a song called Psalm 127 that was done here in Bismarck, and it was a pretty cool song. It was kind of folksy and bluegrassy, and Had a little bit of funk to it and everything. It was a really good song. Psalm 127. I can't remember the artist right off, but it was a cool song to go through. So those are some of the things I picked up. Now it's rather fresh for you, but I would also expect that you're probably a little, if your brain is your brain and a motorcycle scrambles it. You know what? Actually, one second. We're gonna pull Carl. Carl's ready to join us. Hold on. We're gonna bring him in. We're gonna see if we can get Carl to come in. So this is live, folks. This is how real world happens. So we'll come back to that. But Carl, you are coming in with audio. He looks great. There he is. We're live. We are recording live right now. Welcome, Carl.
He's got that working outside tan going.
He does. He does. It's the Pastor Karl, welcome to the Jim and Dan show.
Good, good. Thank you very much. Let me turn my light on.
Okay. This is the first time that Carl is coming in completely cold. So
Oh man,
welcome, and we're glad you're okay, and glad you're here to chat with us.
I am so sorry, you guys. I have some really good news though.
Excellent.
This is a Jesus in our lives thing. Um, I had full intention of being on at 7 o'clock, and my daughter and my wife planned a party for James, my son-in-law, who had his last round of chemo.
Oh,
So there's
awesome.
about 30 people in
Uh-huh.
my house right now, and I was like, even in my head, I was like, at about 6:50, I'm gonna have to go in.
Mm,
And I was just talking to Tina or T, and I
yep.
said, "Hey, what time is it?" And she said about 7:20. I went, "Oh my gosh." Okay. I am
Well,
so sorry.
no, what a blessing. That is absolutely understandable. I would consider that to be necessary for you to have done that so we could have this conversation here. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
And
we're been a lot of prayers for James, and I know people
yes.
are excited to be caught up on that. And
Yep.
Yeah.
And
uh,
so you've already talked about food, I'm guessing, right? In some
did we?
way or
Huh.
That part we didn't bring up other than I just ate a little while ago.
Well,
okay. Well, there.
actually, so we may have the catalyst for food conversations because it didn't come up until Carl got here. So now we know what is the linchpin that holds everything together in our church, not only the pastor and the giver of the messages, but the food. So
Yep. Yep.
it all began, and if we go back to the beginning of Journey Fellowship in Fargo, it was all about waffles.
It was. Yeah.
Was.
You might be onto something there.
Well, we were just talking about message last week, and
Oh,
just to
okay.
recap quickly, the Father's Day message. I kind of covered the provide, protect, correct, comfort, and I'm glad you're here because I wanted to tell you again that really spoke to me. And as usual, I appreciate getting the notes. You write down your notes each week and you send them out to those interested, and I
Yep.
appreciate being able to go back and read those. And we were just coming around to the fact that Dan, and just so you know, Dan did not watch the service live on his motorcycle while he was riding, but he did
Good.
watch it later. We were just confirming that as you were coming in.
Good. That was our concern. Yep. That was a big
Yep.
concern.
And I have to say, the one part that I took out of the message, and we've talked about this before, but I just love the way you address the fact that some people have an issue seeing God as the good father that we know him to be because of their relationship with their earthly father.
Right.
They compare God, our heavenly father, to their earthly father when they should be doing that the other way around.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, earthly fathers will fail. We all have, we all do. Our heavenly father never will.
Amen. Yeah. Uh, so I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. I actually had an interesting conversation with a good friend of mine this last week uh, about that point, and it had to do with Father's Day and thinking in terms of because we talked about it last week on the show here that we attribute our dad's attributes to God the
Mhm.
Father, and I feel like I'm really fortunate in that. Well, okay, that wow, that was a terrible way to say it. I lost my dad when I was in my early 20s. The
Oh,
fortunate thing that I can do now, though, because I've had time, and as I grew in my Christian walk as an adult, a thinking adult, I was able to attribute some really good qualities that I remember about my dad to God. So when I'm praying, most often I begin with Father God, and it puts me into that mindset of this gentle giant that was my dad. and the things that I remember about his calming presence. So it goes kind of both ways because I agree with you, Dan. It can be easy to put what I consider human qualities into what we think of God, and vice versa. But it also works for the good things. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
couple, we can't say 2 cents anymore, can we? So that was my 2 nickels worth.
2 nickels. Yeah. 2 cents is good.
Well, 2 cents worth is 6 cents now because it costs 3 cents to make a penny.
Oh,
So
that's right. Yeah. Well, we were just talking about this earlier
we
too.
were.
We often have guest appearances. So this may be the first time we've had four people. If you want to bring one of your cats in, Dan, we could really shoot for the moon here.
That'd be a little too distracting.
Who do we have
They
here?
never seem to show the right end.
This is Asher, my grandson Asher. Can you say hi? Hi.
Hi, Asher. A future preacher. That's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go? Okay. All right. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Is there any snacks at this party that you have going on?
There's a load of snacks. Yeah.
I
There's
bet
actually,
there is.
my wife has a cake that tastes like a giant Hostess cupcake,
Oh,
Ooh.
and actually better than a Hostess cupcake.
oh,
So
well, good save. Good save. Let me know if you want me to pull that bit out and send it to you
Okay.
on the side. So you can gain some brownie points, huh?
yeah, brownie points. Oh,
Cake points.
So on the food point, we had the Father's Day potluck in Bismarck
yes.
here,
Yep.
and it was a great burger bar, and I was impressed. I kind of did a measurement of how much sauerkraut I put out and how much I took back. I was impressed with how many people took the sauerkraut challenge on their burgers. So
Yeah.
that was a
Did you
thing.
get any feedback besides the amount gone? Did you get any feedback like, oh, I would do that again? Or
Yep. Actually, I did. I
did?
had a couple people say I've never tried it before, but it was good. And not one person said that changed my life. I'm going to eat sauerkraut on everything forever and ever. But I did get a couple of, it was all right. So I'll
Yeah.
take that as a win. As,
That is a win for
as a
sure.
good Sherman, I consider that a win. Yeah. Yeah, that's
There
pretty
you
good.
go.
Yeah. And how about in Fargo? We didn't get to talk on Sunday. I didn't ask you how things were for food wise on Saturday for Father's Day get together.
We had ice cream and cake.
Mm.
We had the Costco cake with the whatever that is, that ganache or whatever that is in the middle. Oh man, that stuff is good.
We decided last week that it was manna. Remember,
Manna,
it's
that's
manna
right.
on
Yeah,
top.
manna. So it was about a 3/4 inch layer of manna right through the middle and ice cream. Yeah. We and as you've said before and you've witnessed, we do not lack for snacks in Fargo.
Mm.
We know what we're doing in the snack area.
You are not snack lackers. That is true.
No, we are not snack lackers.
So
I
this
like
Is that a new
more
word? A
merch.
snack lacquer?
Yeah.
I think it might be
Get out, snack lacker.
you snack lacker.
As always, we do such good things on this show, man. I appreciate you guys. And so this coming week, now we're
Yeah.
coming up to a weekend in which Pastor Karl, you're going to be otherwise occupied.
I am. Yep.
So you'll be busy making two people into one,
Correct.
which is awesome. And is that happening locally? Is that do you have to travel for this one?
That's the reason I'll be gone is it is out in and I was thinking I was going to remember this too the next time someone asked. It's out in a very mountainous and gorgeous part of Montana, the western part of Montana, and I want to say like Gatlinville, Gatlin Valley, something like that. I've been told I'm gonna love it, and
I'm sure you will.
but
So
it's quite a ways away. So by the time
Not Flathead Valley, is it?
No, it starts with a G for sure.
Okay.
G, yeah, definitely a G. Like
Gainesville, I think you had mentioned, or maybe Gatlin.
I don't think it's Gainesville. I think it's
Doesn't
something
sound
like that.
familiar.
What's that?
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
And it wasn't to me either until they said, "Yeah, this is where the wedding is," and they got me too because they said, "Karl, will you marry us? Will you officiate?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'd love to." I've pretty much known her my whole life. And then she said, "Great, it's going to be in such and such Montana," and I went, "Is that the western part of Montana?"
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, good. Enjoy the trip. That's beautiful
Yeah.
country out there. I heard they
It
have
is.
a really big sky, so you can enjoy that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And in your absence, then we're blessed to have Dan giving the message this coming week, and we're continuing
Yes.
in our songbook, right?
Mhm.
We are.
So what do you have for us, Dan? What should we read to get ready?
We are going to be looking at Psalm 139. So if you could read ahead in that, in the New King James Version, the title of that is God's Perfect Knowledge of Man.
God's
And
perfect knowledge of man.
speaks to the three attributes of God: his omniscience, his omnipresence, and his omnipotence, which
Mm.
Karl has talked about all of those at one time or another. But it's King David
Mhm.
who wrote the psalm, and he's acknowledging an understanding of just how great God is. And I think we kind of forget that sometimes. We flippantly refer to God as the man upstairs or the big guy or the boss or whatever. And that's very irreverent when we're supposed to be living in what is translated the fear of God. And Karl talked about that last week. That is a reverent awe. It's not a scared kind of thing. It's not a fear. I mean, not a be afraid kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's literally translates to a reverent awe.
Mm.
God himself is the only one worthy, in my opinion, of the word awesome, but we throw that around for just about everything, like the awesome sauerkraut burgers you had.
There's a wide valley between those two, 100%. Yeah.
Yep, I would say.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear that. And you
Yeah,
will be in Fargo on Saturday, and you said that you are planning to travel up to
I am.
Bismarck. Yeah, excellent.
You gonna ride motorcycle, Dan?
I was thinking about it. If Jim wanted to do a ride afterwards, we could maybe arrange that.
I need to
Yeah.
get my motorcycle. Mine's still in storage. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't got mine out of storage yet. I got a new car this spring, so I've been enjoying the car, but I do
Nothing
know that
wrong with
would
that.
that would give me a little bit of encouragement to get my bike out. So we'll talk. We'll stay in touch. How about that?
Well, if it's going to be raining like today, I'd probably skip it.
I'm not a rainy motorcycle rider. I've been stuck in a couple storms and I didn't enjoy it one bit.
No, that's
I,
not fun riding at
I like
all.
No,
safety. I like
4 days I
safety.
just got back from. Luckily, we didn't have any rain. We had about 10 drops on the windshield one day, and that's all that hit us. So
How
pretty
about
blessed in that regard.
we've had mosquitoes popping up here pretty good. I've had some on my vehicle's windshield. Did you run into like swarms of mosquitoes on your ride, or is it still pretty clear out there?
Not at 45 degrees. Nope.
You know what? You make a
That's
good
one
point.
thing about it. The bugs were pretty scarce.
Man, that's a tough decision. Do I want to be frigid the whole time or deal with bugs in my teeth? At least it wasn't both. You got that.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
So normally, as we're wrapping up, we do final thoughts. Did you have anything other than that you want to get back to the cake and ice cream, Pastor Karl?
Oh, well, no, I do have a final thought,
Oh,
and we
excellent.
kind of mentioned it. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We mentioned it, both churches or both locations, Saturday, Sunday. The series coming up,
Mm.
the series that we're going to be starting is based on a book, and I found my copy, um, that I won't. Here it is. Um,
I just have to say this while you're pulling the book out.
yeah,
So many times I've had lessons that I've forgotten and had to relearn. So when you just said that you found your book and then you started looking for it, it kind of felt like that same thing. I found my book. Oh, there it is. I found it again.
yeah.
You can
This
do
is
it
two times
forever.
three. So
Yeah.
it's called The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
mhm.
By the author of the Chronicles of Narnia. Yes.
Same
Yes.
guy.
Yeah.
And so what's really really cool I think about this book, there's so many cool things, but it's written as a series of letters. Does that sound familiar? A series of letters from this
Mm.
master demon or mentor demon named Screwtape to his underling or his mentee whose name is Wormwood. And
Oh.
and uh and they're demons. And
Mhm.
I know this sounds weird to say, but so he's writing, teaching Wormwood how to draw people away from God,
Oh, okay.
right? So the whole book is that way. So everything you read is the opposite, just about. So it's
Yeah.
fun when you're reading through and you'll read something, and I just started reading it again. You'll read something, you're like, well, that's not true. It would be if you were a demon.
Right.
It would be
Right.
that would be
Mm.
your truth. So it's really, really interesting in that way, and it has some really good I don't know if it's exactly tongue-in-cheek humor, but there's some really kind of humorous parts to it. And I would, here's my challenge. I would encourage everybody to get their hands on either a hard copy, or if you're an audiobook guy or gal. Somebody was saying, I think
Yeah,
it was Bismarck.
Aaron
Yeah,
said that he found it on YouTube for
YouTube.
free.
There's a free
Yeah.
version. It takes like 3 hours, and I'm sure you can start
Yep,
and
it's
stop
three
wherever
and a
you need
half.
to.
Yeah. And
And
it
so,
is, it's available. I just wanted to point out too, it's
yeah,
available on Audible, and I bought it. It's $7 if you want to get a copy for yourself that you can keep.
yeah.
And then the pay goes back to the author and everything, or I guess not him
And
directly anymore.
not a lot of people use Kindle anymore, but I know you can get the Kindle version for like $3.
Yeah. And it is really short. I mean, it's for 3.5 for an audiobook. Usually, like a regular novel that would be a normal size novel that you'd find would be 10 to 12 hours. So
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
excited to get this started. I'm in a 30-hour long space opera right now that I'm just like, I've got a couple hours left. I'm like speeding through it. I sped it up so I can get done, so I can get to the next book, but I have to finish it first. I hope you understand.
I totally understand.
Anyway,
I
yeah.
love the fact that I got to hear you say space opera. I don't even know what that is.
Star Wars is a space opera. So
Oh,
it's
okay,
the
okay, okay,
big,
okay.
yeah, the grand
Oh, gotcha,
sci-fi.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's my challenge, is everybody get a hold of whatever kind of copy they feel that they'll be able to make it through, and just start kind of going through that. Because when we go through that as a church, I think, and I hope you guys would agree with me, that if you've read something and then you hear somebody talk about something you've read, even if it didn't make a lot of sense when you read it, then when you hear somebody talk about it, there's a familiarity there. You're like, oh, I recognize those words in that order. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. And then if you were to go back and read it again, I think that's where we really start locking things home.
Right.
So if
Right.
we listen to it or read it, then we talk about it for a series. And then, and it is an interesting enough book where you might go back to it in a year or two, or for me, it's been a few more than that. And as you're reading through, things just hit you, and like written on your
Sounds a
heart.
lot like a Bible study, doesn't it?
It's almost identical to a Bible study. Yeah. So that's my challenge, is that people would at least consider getting a copy of Screwtape Letters, because it'll probably be, I mean, we have what, a month left on our songbook, and then,
Thank you. That was going to be my question. I know we've got at least 2 or 3 weeks left, but
yep.
maybe upwards of 4. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, 3, 4, and then we'll probably start that. So there's enough time where you would easily be able to listen to or read through the book well before we start it. And then when we start it, there'll be that familiar feeling, which everybody loves that. When somebody's talking about something that you have you're like, oh yeah, you're speaking my language.
That's exactly it. We're creating that common sense that so eludes us sometimes.
Common sense. That's right. I've
Yeah.
heard you talk about that. That's exactly right.
Awesome. Well, you talk
And
about a
along with
challenge.
Carl, sorry, along with Carl's challenge, I have another one for everyone for the coming week. Use the word snack lacquer in a conversation at least once.
I might use it tonight. As soon as I leave this office, they're going to hear it.
That's a great challenge. Man, we can't beat that. I think we need to have Dan come on every week and give us a final challenge. That was really
Dan's
good.
final challenge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right, everybody take care. Share this with others. Let's continue to pray for our family, and hopefully we'll see everybody very soon. God bless.